Worm, prepare yourself. Damn Saiyan.
So the main purpose of this video is to let you guys know that I will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, so I won't have any videos or any content coming up besides this video unless some real big major news drops, say for the new movie or maybe something alluding to a new series. Then I will probably try to figure out a way to get a video out, but other than that happening, I'm going to be indisposed for those 2 weeks and just relaxing, enjoying my family. I'm even off of work, so it's going to be fantastic. Although I still will be active on the community tab for this channel, I'll be active on Twitter and Discord, and you can find my Twitter and Discord links in the description below, or the top comment, or the community tab when I post them on there. Now, going on to the second purpose of this video, you know what time it is. I have to talk about Avengers Infinity War and give you guys a quick rundown on my thoughts on the movie. I will give you guys first my non-spoiler, and then I'm going to just go into full-on spoilers. So right now, non-spoiler, and that is, the movie was awesome. This was by far the best MCU movie in my opinion. The last movie that I thought that was on this sort of caliber was Thor Ragnarok, but now this one is above it, mainly because of the consequences that there were at the end of the movie. Although Thor had some consequences leading into this movie, I feel like this is a lot more serious and it had more of a desperate aura to it than Thor, who was more plucky and playful. Thanos is by far my favorite MCU villain at this point. Before that, it was Killmonger from Black Panther, and then before that, it was Loki. And as far as them juggling so many characters, they did a beautiful job. This movie was like a ballad to everything that I wanted as a kid when it came to comic books, because I grew up reading comic books, watching the cartoons, playing the video games, and I never thought that it would get to this level where it would be mainstream, and luckily it has, and it's fantastic. I love it. I gotta go ahead and give this movie a 7 out of 7 Dragon Balls. You know what it is, 10 out of 10. And that's it for my non-spoiler stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into my spoiler stuff, so if you want to go ahead and hit pause and come back after you've watched the movie, you're more than welcome to do so, because I'm going to get into every bit of spoilers that I have from the very beginning to the very end of the movie. So you have been warned. Now, if you guys are Dragon Ball fans, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to get the latest news, discussions, theories, and analysis videos. So I'm curious why they didn't show the Pebble guy from Thor Ragnarok, and why they didn't show the new Asgardian girl, the Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok, because they were all on that ship, and it seems like they just cut straight to just focusing on Thor and Loki when Thanos and his crew landed and started slaughtering everybody. So I would assume that they're all dead, but at some point Thor says that, oh, you've killed half of my people. So I don't know if there are more people. I could have sworn that that was like Noah's Ark for the Asgardians. I thought that was basically it. So that was a little confusing, but I did like that how fluid the movie was. It went at a brisk pace and never really dulled down. Honestly, there was a point where I thought it was gonna dull down when they were talking to War Machine. The general was talking to War Machine, but then it picked right back up when Captain came in. So I thought it was gonna get slower at that point, but it didn't. The Guardians kind of stumbling onto Thor felt very fluid because they were responding to a distress signal. They are the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that makes sense. They get Thor, and everything in that ship at that moment was hilarious. I laughed at almost about every single joke. I know some of the jokes didn't land, but I mean, in my audience, everybody was clapping and just having a great time. And if you follow these characters, as long as, you know, a lot of people have, and are fanboyish, I guess, or have fanboyish tendencies, then yeah, you're gonna enjoy the jokes that even though they aren't the funniest, they still hit with resonance because you love these characters. And I'd say they're few and far between of these jokes, because a lot of them, if not most of them, landed for me. I thought they were really good, and it was good because they didn't cut any of the serious moments for the most part. There were a few with, say, the Guardians that kind of cut Guardians and Thor. I'm glad they paired those two up, because the last Thor movie was sort of feeling like a Guardians movie, so I like how they paired those two guys up. But yeah, that's normally where you got that undercutting of the serious moments, but after that it was all serious from there on out, with a couple of jokes sprinkled in between. And everything from Doctor Strange and Iron Man kind of butting heads was really good. I personally am not such a big fan of the MCU's version of Doctor Strange, because I feel like his personality is very, very similar to Tony Stark's. But in this movie they separated them, where Doctor Strange was more about the mystic arts and protecting the Infinity Gem that he's got, the Infinity Stone that he's got, and he was more dickish and more of like an asshole than Tony Stark was, surprisingly. And I like that. And they actually kind of seeded a few moments in the very beginning that paid off at the end. Iron Man telling Spider-Man that, yeah, you know, this is a one-way ticket, you know, this is not a time to goof around. And Spider-Man really didn't listen, and it felt like, you know, there were going to be no consequences, and there were consequences at the very end. And then Doctor Strange telling Iron Man, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and focus mainly on this gem. If anything happens to it, I'm going to be choosing the gem over you guys. And then that is completely undercut at the end of the movie, where he goes ahead and chooses Tony's life over the Infinity Stone. But it could also be said that he saw the possible futures, and that was the only future that they win, by letting Thanos destroy half the people in the universe. So I mean, he could have been doing it for his own ends, but I do like how they seeded that in there. Personally, the lowest part of the movie for me were the children of Thanos. I didn't really think that they were all that competent. They only really had one job, and they failed spectacularly at most of it. And it took Thanos himself, and maybe, if you could say, with the help of Gamora, to get all the Infinity Stones, when none of the children of Thanos could even get one. I believe they got Doctor Strange, if you want to count that, but they lost Doctor Strange as well. So they were in a big disappointment, because I really wasn't that read up on them, and I wasn't really anticipating them being really cool. They were interesting, but at the same time they were just similarly thrown away characters, I guess. The one that I liked the most was the female one, because they had all that dialogue at the end with Black Widow and the chick from Wakanda. That was really interesting, but besides that, I could care less about these guys. And that's when we get to Thanos himself. This movie was a Thanos origin story. Plain and simple. This movie could have just been called Thanos. It could have been his movie, and that would have been fine. It just kept the movie the way it is, and that would have been fine, because it literally tells his story from the very first scene that you go into it with, all the way to the very last scene. He starts off looking for the Infinity Stones. He goes through, finds his daughter. It almost goes through this arc where he is trying to accomplish his goal, and he eventually does, and he's able to go ahead and essentially retire with a smile on his face, looking at the sunset. It was great the way they built this character up, and I love the consequences to it. Honestly, it was extremely difficult to watch, say, Groot crumble, Star-Lord crumble, and I'm calling crumble like they're dead, and Spider-Man specifically, because Spider-Man had probably the worst crumbling. He was crying, he was a kid. It was tear-jerking, and the fact that they've built up this relationship between him and Iron Man, it really paid off here, because I was tearing up when that was happening. I teared up for that. I teared up when Loki died. And I teared up a little bit with Groot, because we saw some real emotion from Rocket. And so when these characters disintegrated, it was great to finally see some sort of repercussion for the things that are happening. I mean, there are a lot of movies out there that will go and just build all this stuff up and then have no actual repercussions. I mean, even the show that this channel is essentially built around, and even the, you know, some of the stuff that has happened in it, actually the main stuff that has happened, the stuff that has happened at the end, Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power. Tournament's built up, there's all these potential consequences, and at the end they get a mulligan, everything goes back to normal, no consequences. It really undercuts everything, and that was my biggest nitpick with the Tournament of Power, besides Ribrianne. So with this, they did it right. They just killed half of the people. Half of the heroes that we know and people that we know in this universe are gone, and so it's gonna be really interesting. It makes me want to watch any other movie that comes comes after this because you want to see the repercussions. I had no interest in seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not that I don't like Ant-Man, I do like Ant-Man, but I just didn't have any interest to go seeing it in the movie theater. But now I really want to see it because I think the movie should take place after this happens. If it doesn't, that's going to be a real low blow because they can't build this up and then have that not happen. But the movie should take place in a world where half the people are gone, and that would be extremely interesting to see. Now, of course, do you think that they're going to reverse this? Probably, just to get more movies and stuff. I mean, especially Black Panther with how successful that character was, but we don't know at this moment what they're going to do. So it's such a heavy weight to realize that most of your favorite characters are gone. I mean, the Guardians are gone, and I know they're gonna have another Guardians movie already slated to come out, but that Guardians movie, if they don't reverse this, it could not have any of those characters in it and be the ones that are left. Like, I think the only one that is left actually out of the Guardians is Groot. Honestly, because they're in space, the new Guardians could be Iron Man and I don't even know who else was left up there now that I'm thinking off the top of my head. I can't remember who was left on Titan after everyone disintegrated. I know Doctor Strange is gone. Spider-Man is gone. I mean, this is the main talking point of this movie. How many characters actually died? I believe the number is extremely high. It's Game of Thrones high. And Game of Thrones had several seasons to kill off main characters. And this did it in the last 10 minutes. Or the final 20 minutes of the movie, it did it. So it's just a great movie, honestly, guys. I would say that if you haven't seen it yet, well, I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you shouldn't be watching this because I'm telling you all spoilers. So I would say that watch it again, support the movie, because this is the formula-ish how most I would say other comic movies or comic book series should take, especially DC. Like, if you put this alongside the Justice League, you could tell which one had love in it and which one just had nothing left in it. Like, you could tell. And if they ever decide to do the DCU in a similar fashion, very similar, like a reboot version of the MCU, I would be 100% on board with that because I love a lot of the characters out of the DCU as well as the characters from Marvel's side. So I feel like if they just took the time and care to make these characters great in the DCU and give them individual good movies and then have them team up later on to fight Darkseid and give him a really cool backstory as well, then that's good. I mean, the main reason that Thanos worked is because they gave him so much humanity. He had a daughter, he cared about her, he sacrificed her for his dream. He had a dream that he was basically a character that was very similar to Killmonger, where he thought that he was doing the right thing and everybody else was thinking that he was a bad guy, but no, he was doing the thing that felt right to him, and it wasn't essentially like a bad decision, because he was even saying that he killed Gamora's planet, half the population, but now they're thriving. So this, alongside just the acting from the actor that was playing Thanos, I can't think of who it was on the top of my head, but he did a phenomenal job. It could have been really easy to make this character bad, to write him bad, to introduce him bad, but no, this character was well done. This is by far one of my favorite characters that they've done in the MCU. He's much better than what I've seen in the comic books, maybe not so much, but in any form on cartoon back when I was a kid. He's done way better here, because in the cartoon he wants to destroy all the universe. That's why he wants to get the Infinity Gauntlet or the Infinity Stones, and you know, he's just a generic bad guy essentially for the most part in most of the cartoons that I've seen. And in this, he just wants to do half. And that's great, because now that you've deleted all these characters, you know, you can kind of focus in on some of these other characters and give them reasons to cross each other's paths in different movies. Like, if you have a Black Widow movie, you can like throw Rocket in there. I mean, I know the Hulk's gonna be in there, so you know they have a really good reason to do so. And I really love the path they took with this. This was phenomenal. I waited 10 years to watch this movie, and it just was done so great. And again, it just deserves that 10 out of 10. For me, along with how great the movie was on its own, it was a perfect movie. And I really want to hear your thoughts, guys, whoever's watching it till the end, I guess, to this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys really thought of this movie. When I get back on the 11th, I have a couple other videos slated. I have a couple other ideas that I've been writing down for different videos. So I'll have content when you guys come back, or when I come back. But one main thing that I really want to focus on is a video series talking about how the MCU formula could work in Dragon Ball. Say they were making Dragon Ball movies, how it would be really cool to have different characters from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Super, and give them their own movies leading up to like a big bad or something along those lines. That would be really, really interesting to talk about, and I think that's kind of where I'm going to be going toward the end of this month when I get back on the 11th. But anyway, guys, I'm going to miss you. Thanks again for watching and subscribing to the channel and supporting me. You guys are awesome. Just make sure you're still here when I come back and turn on notifications. That way you get my video as soon as I post on the 11th. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. This is going to be Dragon Ball Black signing off.